Now at 9, we meet a Joplin woman fighting to keep her home from demolition. Plus, Emancipation Park Days kicks off in Joplin. We check out the festivities, and
Donald Trump isn't letting a third indictment slow him down on the campaign trail. I'm Caroline Shively with that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities charged 2 Pittsburgh residents after a joint drug bust. We first told you yesterday that multiple Kansas agencies executed a search warrant in Pittsburgh after noticing suspicious activity. Horace Wright and Amanda Lee were arrested on multiple drug-related charges. That's because during the search, law enforcement uncovered an estimated 5,000 counterfeit oxycodone pills suspected of containing fentanyl. The 2 suspects have been booked into the Crawford County Jail. A Chetopa man once on the run is now in the Cherokee County Jail. At around 7:30 this morning, authorities searched a Baxter Springs hotel room after receiving information a fugitive was there. And they found Ernest Moore behind a shower curtain. Moore pled guilty in Cherokee County District Court back in December of 2022 to burglary, theft, criminal damage to property, and driving in violation of Kansas vehicle registration laws. And though released from custody, Moore failed to appear in court, which is why he was wanted. Well, there's no hiding from this heat. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at the weather.
Yeah, we've been hot all week long. Temperatures sitting right around 100 degrees. We did it again today. 103 was our high. The record's 107 set back in 2012. Normal high is 91, so a pretty good chunk above where we should be for this time of the year. Excessive heat warning still in effect. This is going to be for tomorrow. You can see these are starting to shift a little bit farther south as we are going to actually cool down a little bit as we head through the weekend. Not a whole bunch going on for us right now. We have thunderstorms central Missouri, but we are tracking a batch out to the west, which will start to affect us late tonight into tomorrow morning. So we are going to have scattered weekend storms. The heat continues tomorrow, but then we start to cool down. So we're going to break this all down for you coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. A 68-year-old Joplin woman is pleading with city officials to let her keep her home of almost 40 years. On Monday, Donna Bray will speak before City Council to try to remove her property from the demolition list. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has her story.
Almost 40 years ago, Donna Bray bought this house. She raised her kids there and now is facing the risk of seeing it be demolished by the city of Joplin.
I am like this far away from being homeless at 68 years old.
According to Joplin officials, the house has been on the Joplin Building Board of Appeals agenda for almost 2 years, with no progress made to repair the structure. In March this year, the city said the house was vacant and accessible to vandals. Donna says the house was vacant for almost 10 years, and she agrees she did have problems with trespassers in the past.
Somebody broke in and they emptied every closet. They tipped over beds. They pulled the dressers out of all my dresser drawers and dumped everything up and down.
Donna says about 4 months ago, she moved back into the house. In June, the board declared it was a dangerous building and ordered it to be demolished. According to Donna, she wasn't able to repair the house because of health concerns and financial difficulties. She also believes she's not treated equally before city council members.
They've required me to give them itemized lists of everything I've done and everything I'm going to do and where I'm going to get the money to do it. Nobody else that has been before that board in the whole almost 2 years that I've been going before that board has ever had to show any of that information.
The homeowner is now asking for the demolition order to be lifted so she can have more time to work on the house.
There are programs, there are federal programs and there are state programs and there are even local or church or charity programs that I am eligible for to get help with my house, but they cannot and will not help me as long as it's on that building board's agenda.
Her goal is to see her house look like it once did.
It's ugly. It needs work. It definitely does, but I just haven't had the money.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Previously, the city of Joplin lifted demolition orders for Donna's house, and a fundraiser was created to support her. Also, contractors, plumbers, and volunteers have offered their time to help fix the house. For more information, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Emancipation Park Days kicked off today in Joplin. Folks gathered in Ewart Park to honor the anniversary of the emancipation of slaves in Joplin and neighboring towns. Today's event featured live music, food trucks, a market, and a kids' movie in the park.
Juneteenth happened in Texas. People have said that it has taken that long for word to get here, and so it took till August for us to find out that the slaves were freed. And so we have our celebration. Our date is August 4th. Juneteenth is recognized as a national or federal holiday, but here in Joplin, as far as Joplin is concerned and surrounding areas, August 4th is the Emancipation Day date.
Festivities continue through Sunday and include a dominoes tournament, a performance by dance group, and a car show. From the courtroom to the campaign trail, former President Donald Trump remains defiant and leveraging his growing legal woes to boost his lead among Republicans in the race for president. Fox's Caroline Shively has the latest from Washington.
So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him.
Donald Trump from a tarmac right outside D.C. on a rainy Thursday after pleading not guilty to 4 criminal counts accusing him of trying to overturn an election. It's not the first storm he's weathered, being indicted 3 times in 4 months.
This is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate right now for president, for either party.
Trump's sure to shift his legal troubles into political capital, returning to the campaign trail 24 hours post-arraignment. He's headlining an event for the Alabama GOP Friday and then headed to the early voting state of South Carolina. He took to Truth Social Thursday saying, "Need one more indictment to ensure my election." And that's likely, with another indictment potentially coming out of Georgia looking at election interference. Democrats think that should disqualify Trump from returning to the White House.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. It has nothing to do with the timing of the election.
But as the number of indictments grow, so does Mr. Trump's popularity. Those big fundraising hauls are slowing down, though, and the legal fees emptying campaign coffers. Trump will also face trials for multiple cases in the thick of election season.
2024 will not be the year of being on the campaign trail, but it'll be the year of the Trump trial.
Special counsel Jack Smith wants a speedy trial for the case looking at the 2020 election and for a verdict to be reached before Election Day. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers toured the still blood-stained halls of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida this morning. The congressional delegation got a first-hand look at the site of the 2018 shooting that killed 14 students and 3 staff members. Afterward, there was a reenactment of the shooting, which is part of a civil lawsuit filed by the victims' families against former Sheriff's Deputy Scott Peterson and the Broward Sheriff's Office. Coming up, tips to help you get some sleep during this extreme heat. Well, there may be real power in peppermint oil. A study published in the journal BMJ finds peppermint oil aromatherapy may ease pain for patients after open heart surgery. The study also suggests it can enhance sleep quality. Researchers say essential oils could boost the effectiveness of other painkillers or even replace them, and alleviating pain can lead to faster recovery. Well, July was the hottest month on record for the planet, and we may not see much relief from the heat in August either. Rising temperatures can have a significant impact on many aspects of life, including your sleep. Mandy Gaither has an expert's top 10 tips for getting better sleep in the heat.
If the temperature outside has you tossing and turning inside, you're not alone.
Higher nighttime temperatures tend to increase wakefulness during the night, as well as decrease deep sleep and REM sleep.
Michelle Drerup with the Sleep Disorder Center at Cleveland Clinic says those stages of sleep are critical to help the body repair and restore itself at night. So disrupting sleep can have a major impact on your life. While catching those Z's in the heat can be tricky, what you wear to bed can help.
Typically kind of loose cotton clothing or not wearing anything to sleep tends to be better versus synthetics.
That goes for bedding, too. Drerup says to pick sheets that are more cooling and don't trap the heat. While everyone's different, she says an ideal room temperature for sleep is between 63 and 67 degrees. And stay hydrated throughout the day, but limit liquids about 2 hours before bed so you won't have to go to the bathroom at night. Avoid alcohol, which can dehydrate you and disrupt sleep. Use shades or fans to keep the bedrooms as cool and dark as possible during the day so it's not as hot at night. And think about taking a lukewarm or cool shower before bed. Drerup says you can also get better sleep by sticking to a regular sleep schedule, winding down before bed, and finally making sure your last meal of the day is light.
Avoiding, higher sugar, high carbs, high fats. That can potentially disrupt sleep.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, find out how the Pittsburgh and Webb City Little League teams are doing in the regional tournament.
Well, of course, it turned out to be another hot one for us today. All week long, our temperatures have been sitting right around 100 degrees, and we did it again today. 103 was the official high. Looks pretty good right now. We're looking at Indigo Sky, a casino and resort parking lot filling up Friday night. Pretty quiet for us, at least over the next several hours. We still have an excessive heat warning in effect once again tomorrow in the magenta color. Everybody else is under heat advisories. But look at our temps. We're still sitting mid to upper 80s to near 90 degrees across the region. We can go outside. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 90. Feels like 95. West, southwesterly winds are light at about 5 to 10. We're pretty quiet. Had an isolated shower or two in our southern counties, but most of us look pretty good for the next several hours. Severe thunderstorms up across central parts of Missouri heading away from us. What we are watching is what's going on across Nebraska and developing in northwestern Kansas as this complex will start to head toward us as we go through about the next 12 to 18 hours. The heat has been caused by this big, massive area of high pressure finally starting to break down, which means in return, we start to cool off just a little bit as we go through the weekend. All right, we do have a severe threat, but this is tomorrow night. This is not tonight, and it is a level 2 out of 5, mainly along and north of I-44. Timing here is going to be 10 p.m. tomorrow night until about 3 a.m. Sunday morning. Main threat is going to be hail and gusty winds. I'm going to keep the tornado threat on the very low side. Let's step through time. A couple isolated showers, southern counties over the next couple hours. Then as we go through the night, we're pretty quiet. We could get some scattered thunderstorms trying to get going very late tonight. Here 6 a.m. mainly along and north of the I-44 corridor. These will kind of fall apart as we go through the morning, and then more will start to regenerate in southeastern Kansas by mid-morning, and kind of a dying complex works through late morning into the early afternoon. These are going to be scattered. This is not going to be a wall of rain. And then as we go into tomorrow evening, additional scattered thunderstorms try to pop up across the region. Then we're going to watch that batch tomorrow night. This is going to be the one that could be a little bit stronger, low grade severe tomorrow night into Sunday morning. And then most of the rain should be out of here for Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon looks pretty good. Temperatures better, highs right around 90 degrees. All right, we got to see where the heaviest bands of rain are going to set up. So you can't take this exactly rainfall amounts. It just shows us that we have the potential for a quarter, half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch in spots with our next storm system rolling through. Heat indices are still going to be up there for us tomorrow, right around 105, 106 degrees. Actual temperature about 95. The clouds may keep us down a little bit. If we get a whole bunch of clouds, we may not even hit 95. 92 on Sunday, 88 though on Monday before we heat back up the middle of next week.
Well, I mean,
were you even listening?
I was. I mean, what can you say? It's been hot. We've got more hot days ahead of us.
I know, but at least it's cooling down a little bit over the next few days.
I know. Well, we need it. I'm looking forward to those nights that are in the 60s finally. That'll be nice.
Pretty good.
Because if you were paying attention, it's easier to sleep when it's cooler.
I was not paying attention, but thank you.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, it's a mixed bag from the latest jobs report.
The job market may be slowing down, but that hasn't cooled some economists' concerns. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with the details coming up.
Well, the job market continued its slowdown in July, but it remains resilient. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera breaks down the jobs report from Washington.
For the second time in a row, the country added fewer than 200,000 jobs. It's another sign the job market is slowing. Welcome news for the Federal Reserve, which has been trying to cool inflation. The White House is already taking credit.
Some of the nation's largest financial institutions have begun to recognize the significant impact of our economic approach. Morgan Stanley increased their expectations for economic growth, as did Bank of America.
The unemployment rate is also near a record low at 3.5%. Despite positive economic markers, Americans are still pessimistic about the economy. A Fox News poll shows 76% of voters think the economy is in fair or poor shape.
We still think that there's possibility for a downturn, probably late this year, early next year.
Average hourly earnings are also up 4.4% from last year, higher than the Fed would like to see.
Workers will continue to think that there are options out there. They're going to quit. They're going to go for jobs that they think will have higher wages. And also, they're not going to pull back on spending.
But the Biden administration is downplaying the possibility of a wage spiral where higher pay leads to higher prices.
One of the things that this jobs report demonstrates is that consumer spending, right, confidence is also growing. This is also creating jobs in industries that were really devastated during the pandemic.
As unions nationwide, like the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA, demand higher pay, some economic experts are worried the bump could put pressure on companies to increase prices to handle the higher cost of labor. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Kia and Hyundai are recalling certain vehicles due to potential fire risks. The automakers say the recall involves about 92,000 vehicles and are urging owners to park them outside. The recall covers 2023 and 2024 Hyundai Palisades and 2023 and 2024 Kia Seltos vehicles, as well as 2023 Hyundai Tucson, Sonata, Elantra, Kona, and 2023 Kia Soul and Sportage vehicles. The automakers say an electronic controller in an oil pump can overheat and spark fires. We'll tell you about a love story that hit a milestone right here in the KOAM studio. We've covered and recorded a lot of big events in this studio over the years, but no other quite like this. Just after the noon news today, our new noon and morning anchor, Caitlin O'Shaughnessy, posed for a few photos with her boyfriend, Junior. And as we were taking pics and recording, this happened.
So if you would, Katie Cat, I'd love to be with you and be by your side for the rest of your life. Will you marry me?
Yes. Yes, she said yes. And by the way, this was Caitlin's first week as our new morning and noon anchor. Perfect ending to a week of new beginnings. Congratulations to the two of them. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How some area parents can save money on their back-to-school shopping this weekend. Plus, how the Joplin School District is letting families cross even more off their back-to-school list. Well, parents are looking for new ways to save money on back-to-school shopping. According to a new Empower survey, 1 in 4 are buying school supplies at discount or dollar stores this year. But even as parents cut back, that same report shows nearly 3 in 10 still expect to pay more than $500 on their kids' school supplies. Well, one way to save is with tax-free weekends. And the Missouri Sales Tax Weekend begins today. KOAM's Elise Noe tells us how families are saving in Joplin.
This weekend is Missouri's sales tax holiday. And for the first time ever, the city of Joplin is participating.
It's actually remarkably cheaper to get it without taxes. You wouldn't think it would make such a difference, but when you're buying a lot of clothes for 2 teenagers, it makes a big difference.
The sales tax holiday allows families to save on back-to-school items like school supplies, electronics, and clothing by exempting sales tax for the weekend. The holiday allows families to save on their yearly and inevitable back-to-school expenses.
It's gotten more expensive the more they've gone into school. This is going to be her first year in the big school where we have to buy school supplies.
And every bit of help goes a long way.
Well, according to JCPenney's, I already saved over $400.
I mean, it made a big deal. If you think of taxes even at 5 or 6%, like you're saving $5 or $10 every time you buy.
The savings aren't just in store. The Department of Revenue says tax-exempt items bought online also count. Items can be delivered after the weekend, but the transactions must take place during the holiday weekend and shipped to a Missouri address.
Back-to-school savings are available from now until August 6th at midnight. Reporting in Joplin, Elise Noe, KOAM News.
For back-to-school clothes and supplies, the sales tax exemption is limited to articles of clothing at a value of $100 or less and school supplies under $50 per purchase. Well, as other states kick off their tax-free weekends, Kansas shoppers may feel a little left out. However, several businesses in Fort Scott decided to take matters into their own hands. KOAM's Jasmine Knight reports.
Tax-free weekend is a holiday that can be enjoyed by anyone, but for parents especially, the holiday helps with back-to-school shopping. With that in mind, small businesses in Fort Scott partnered together to create their own tax-free weekend.
For us, taking the sales tax off and just offering the discount of 9.4% to our customers really increases sales. It just increases overall revenue and just really promotes community spirit, just to get everybody excited and back in the groove. It's just a fun way to wrap up summer and be able to give back to our community a little bit.
Tax-free weekend for Fort Scott features 9 small businesses, including boutiques, bookstores, restaurants, furniture stores, and more.
We all have the philosophy that just because our state doesn't participate in it, we should, because we want to get our citizens the benefit that other states have, and it will help them sort of boost their back to school, getting their wardrobe ready. People work really hard here, and we try and give them as many discounts and advantages as possible.
So we try to pack the store with backpacks, lunch boxes, jackets, coats, hoodies, jeans, tennis shoes, all the fun stuff that the kids need to go back to school.
So what happens to the sales tax? Well, the business covers it. This takes a whopping 9.4% discount off of every purchase made. Some businesses are even stacking the tax-free discount with their own in-store discounts.
The biggest advantage for us as the small business owners is just getting more traffic in. So because of the sale, yes, we do eat that cost ourselves, but it's important to us to bring awareness to shopping local.
So be sure to check out Fort Scott's very own tax-free weekend, where you can find deals on top of deals. Reporting in Fort Scott, Jasmine Knight, KOAM News.
Fort Scott's tax-free weekend will run through tomorrow. Well, Joplin schools give parents a chance to mark even more back-to-school items off their list. The district today hosted its annual Health, Benefits, and Retail Therapy Fair. More than 120 vendors were on hand. Attendees were able to do some shopping, get health screenings, learn about home improvement options, and enjoy some food. The fair is also a chance for the district to do some fundraising. A Missouri teen whose story went viral after he paid the lunch debts of students at his school is getting recognition, praise, and a generous reward for his actions. Melanie Johnson has more on 14-year-old Dawan Strickland's story.
Yeah, I'm trying not to cry.
14-year-old Dawan Strickland overwhelmed by gratefulness of each dollar donated to help kids like him have a meal at the lunch table.
I know all those kids are going to be really happy because of this.
Hazelwood resident Yolanda Duncan saw the story on News 4.
He felt the pain when he was in the 4th grade that he couldn't eat and to watch somebody else to eat.
And on Thursday wanted to thank the teen in her own way.
I have this package that you paid off the students' lunch debt. I wanted to give it back to you.
Giving him a personal check to match the donation Dawan gave McCurdy Elementary School to pay off every student's negative lunch balance.
Well, I'm in shock. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am mind blown that, yeah, this was just originally just an idea because I wanted to help kids out who couldn't pay for school lunches, and seeing this now, I really want to thank you and thank everyone who's helped to contribute.
I've never had that challenge in my life. If I didn't eat, it's because I didn't want to eat. So I said, this is a positive black boy doing something in the community.
After hearing DeJuan's story, News 4 decided to dig deeper into this problem and find out how much money students owe in other districts. In Parkway schools, students owe a combined $54,000 in unpaid meals. In Rockwood, student meal debt is over $18,000. In the Clayton School District, that negative balance is just over $4,000.
DeJuan is going to be successful because he's going to inspire other kids when they see him on TV and say, well, I could do that.
It really will help to make change at Hazelwood School District, and when we continue this more at all schools.
A teenager with a big heart to save one child. The feeling of hunger he has experienced has grown into an act of kindness that has rubbed off on others.
I am only one person, but when everyone starts coming together to start doing this too, it will spark some change.
A mission for change he plans to donate to every year to fight against food insecurity in schools near and far.
Great follow there. A bit later, how a city in California is using streetlights to help catch criminals.
Well, of course, it's been hot all week long. Excessive heat warning and heat advisories remain in effect for Saturday. And then we're actually going to start to cool off just a little bit. Temperatures right now mid to upper 80s to near 90 degrees. We can go outside, 7th range line. Sitting at 90, but it feels like 95 still. So kind of muggy, kind of soupy, but we are dry. We had some clouds that worked through earlier and a couple isolated little showers in our southern counties. All the big time storms have been across central Missouri, severe weather, and then we're watching and tracking the thunderstorms out across central western parts of Nebraska, which are now developing into northwestern Kansas. That cluster is going to head toward us, so we're going to watch it as it works closer to us by the time we get into the morning hours. High pressure, that has been the culprit to the heat wave all week long, but it's breaking down, meaning we're going to cool down just a little bit and finally get some more thunderstorms in here. With them, we do have a low severe threat, not for tonight. This is for tomorrow night, a level 2 out of 5. So we're talking 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Main threats are going to be hail and wind. And I think the tornado threat is going to be fairly low. All right, let's go through tonight. Isolated thunderstorms pop up late, mainly along and north of the I-44 corridor. Isolated thunderstorms through mid-morning, and then a dying batch of thunderstorms will push in mid to late morning. So we're looking at 11:30, the noon hour, and then partly sunny skies, isolated thunderstorms again during the afternoon. Depending on cloud cover, I think most of us should go into the mid-90s for highs. Then we watch tomorrow night. Here comes our bigger batch, showers, thunderstorms across the region, work through into Sunday morning. We may have an isolated storm Sunday morning, but I think most of Sunday looks good. Temperatures right around 90, which is going to be a big improvement. All right, rainfall. We have to see where those heavier bands set up. But in general, I think most of us could pick up a quarter, maybe half an inch, maybe some isolated heavier amounts in spots. But our heat indices are still going to be up there tomorrow. It's still going to feel over 100 degrees, and then these will start to drop a bit by the time we head into Sunday and Monday. All right, 90, I'm going to probably drop this to 95 tomorrow just because of the cloud cover. 92 on Sunday. Morning storms tomorrow, overnight storms tomorrow night, and then a little bit cooler, still hot, but a little bit cooler by the time we head into Sunday. 92 on Sunday, 88 on Monday, overnight lows into the 60s, which is going to be good. We do heat back up to about 100 on Wednesday, and then we kind of sit upper 90s, and then cooling back down a little bit again by the time we head into next week. And I have had a few messages of people wondering why I'm not talking over the graphics, and it's because I scratched my eyeball real bad this week and I can't look at the lights, so I got to let it heal up a little bit more.
Just trying to stay in the dark over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
It's not because I'm here for my first week
No.
and you didn't want to be on air with me.
No, we'll do that next week.
Okay. We're breaking you in easy. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, the Pittsburgh and Webb City Little League teams begin regionals. Plus, the Big 12 Conference announces new members joining from the West Coast. We'll have the details next in sports.
The Little League Midwest Regionals kicked off earlier this morning. Two local teams got to represent their state in Indianapolis, Webb City for Team Missouri and Pittsburgh for Team Kansas. Well, unfortunately, both of those teams lost in the opening round. Pittsburgh loses to North Dakota 15-1 and Webb City loses to Wisconsin 5-2, which now sets up this matchup between Webb City and Pittsburgh. Since it's a double elimination bracket, that means both of these teams will move on to the losers bracket. So now, the winner go home situation. Team Missouri versus Team Kansas will take place on Sunday, August 6th at 9 a.m. Central on ESPN+. The Kansas City Chiefs are almost a week away from their first preseason game in New Orleans, but today the NFL came down with a hefty suspension for a current Chiefs defensive lineman. The NFL has now suspended Chiefs defensive end Charles Omenihu the first 6 games of the regular season. Omenihu was suspended because of a violation of the league's personal conduct policy. This goes back to January when Omenihu was arrested on suspicion of misdemeanor domestic violence. Now, let's keep in mind, this happened when Omenihu was a member of the San Francisco 49ers. Most fans may still not know who Omenihu is because he has yet to play a game with the Chiefs. Omenihu signed a 2-year contract with Kansas City as a free agent in March. The Kansas City Royals are the hottest team in baseball right now, winning their last 6 games. Meanwhile, Cardinals have only won 2 of their last 7. The Royals are in the city of brotherly love tonight, taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Royals have now won 7 straight games, defeating the Phillies tonight 7-5. Once again, Bobby Witt Jr. homered for Kansas City. He goes 2 for 5 with a 2-run bomb. Royals look to make it 8 straight wins when they face Philadelphia tomorrow night at 5 p.m. The St. Louis Cardinals continue their homestand tonight, hosting the Colorado Rockies. Rockies came into this game with the worst record in the National League. St. Louis keeps struggling, giving up 6 runs in the first 2 innings. The Cardinals currently trail the Rockies 8-4 in the 9th inning. It's now official. As we said back on 6 p.m. tonight, Oregon and Washington will join the Big Ten. But now the Big 12 makes their move, and Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah will now be members of the Big 12 Conference. The league now has 16 members. This will go into effect in the 2024 academic year. Presidents from each current Big 12 school voted unanimously to accept the new members. This now leaves the Pac-12 with only 4 members.
So do we continue to call it the Big 12?
I guess. I mean, we go to the Big 18 or whatever, but I think K-State fans may like going to travel to places like Arizona or Utah in the future.
Oh, I wish I played in the Big 12, so that would have been fun. Definitely.
For sure.
All right, we'll be back with more news after this. A city in California is turning to street lights to help catch criminals. Fox's Juliette Vera has more.
40 new sets of eyes by way of surveillance cameras will soon call the streets of El Cajon home. Cameras tracking license plates in real time. An effort, police say, to get criminals off the streets quicker.
Time is one of the biggest impacts on our job, and the time to do things, the time and the resources to be able to investigate crimes. So having this real-time information and having the information to respond immediately, get people in custody or recover stolen property.
Police activated the cameras for a brief test run last week and say in the short time the cameras tracked 2 cars that were reported in violent crimes. One was involved in a carjacking and robbery, and another was a stolen vehicle. Police say thanks to the cameras, the suspects were arrested.
We take public safety very seriously in El Cajon. We have a fully staffed police department, and we are doing everything we can to keep things as safe as possible. So that means we're going to use everything at our disposal to try to get criminals off the streets.
For some people, the new technology feels like an invasion of privacy, some worrying the tracking goes too far. Others, however, say anything that helps police keep criminals off their streets, the better.
I don't mind it because they're already tracking us via our cell phones, so just another layer of security. I don't think it's really going to affect residents very much.
I think that's awesome. I mean, the less people I have to worry about, less criminals around, the better. So, and for my family, safer place for my family, for my neighbors, the hardworking people of El Cajon that pay taxes, whatever you can do to get the criminals out.
Well, coming up, we'll take a look at the new movies hitting the big screen this month. If you were caught up in the Barbenheimer craze, you have several chances for big screen double feature fun during the month of August. Rick Damigella reports.
Boys, where have you been? We're just running errands. That's it?
The month begins with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem on August 2nd and the toothsome Meg 2 The Trench on August 4th.
This looks like a bite. Search the ship. Everywhere.
August 11th finds the very scary Dracula film The Last Voyage of the Demeter creeping into theaters alongside the fast-paced racing action of Gran Turismo.
Whatever you can imagine, I can create.
Yeah, that's more like it.
And August 18th pits the super-powered Blue Beetle against the potty-mouthed pooches of Strays. Hoping movie theater air conditioning stays on in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of bears playing in some bubbles at the Knoxville Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.